Hey guys, so I know I don't upload a lot. I'm trying to fix that. But I decided that for my return back onto my own channel, I would do something a little different. And so today we are going to be talking about something very, very important to me. And honestly, I don't really know how I'm going to talk about this because I just thought about it on the spot of like what I thought was important to bring to this channel or to contribute outwards to you guys. So today we are going to be talking about surviving sexual assault. Pretty heavy stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna get on into it. I thought it was important that I share that part of my story with you guys because although it did not define who I am today, it has helped build who I am, and it's a part of me that will never go away. I think it's deeply embedded into who I am. So yeah, we're just gonna get on into it. As many of you know, I was not born in America. I was born in Philippines, Mabalacat, Pampanga, and my dad was in the army. So yeah, we moved to Washington in 2002, and for a period of time, we didn't have our own place to stay. So we stayed with my grandparents. So my dad had to work several jobs. My mom worked for the daycare that was actually a part of the house. It was a home daycare. And so she worked for my grandma who ran the daycare along with some of my cousins. Part of it was the house, and then there was like the dining room, this living room area, and then a kitchen, and then it led into this area that used to be a garage and was converted into daycare. So my mom was usually in there, and they would keep me in the house portion in one of the rooms. I spent a lot of time alone or cooped up in a room, which isn't so bad, but I remember it was a really hot day and it was nap time. So it was nap time, and I was in my grandparents' room, and my older cousin, who also lived in that house, came into the room, and I was lying down on my mat, and I was facing towards the door, like my feet were facing towards the door, and I was looking up at the ceiling fan, and so he comes into the room and he starts to kneel next to the little mat that I'm laying on, and he lifted the blanket and proceeded to slide my shorts down, and he had his way with me. And he said that it was our secret. Of course, I was afraid that if I had told anyone, my family would be kicked out, that we wouldn't have anywhere to sleep. So I kept quiet. And it was that day that changed everything for me. I didn't know what happened to me. As a child, I was obsessed with the sensation pleasuring yourself because it felt good, and the feeling that I got from my abuse was pleasurable. As a kid, you don't really know. So we fast forward a couple years. In the 5th grade, they taught us about sex ed for the first time, and that's when I realized that what had happened to me wasn't just some innocent secret or some strange occurrence. My depression began in about the 6th grade. It was a lot less noticeable than it was in the years following, but this is where it really began. My insecurities started. I felt like I couldn't trust people, and I became this insecure person who always wanted to be in the company of other people because I couldn't bear to be alone with myself, with my thoughts, with my sorrows. I wanted to be distracted, and so I did everything I could to be like a cool kid or to be accepted, and I wanted to feel normal or to feel above normal, because in my private life I felt damaged and I felt like I was less than everyone else. While everyone else was obsessing over their first kiss, I was living with the fact that I had lost my purity to my own cousin. So I struggled with that. And in the 7th grade, I finally had my first boyfriend. I know, funny to say, because it's the 7th grade, but he was the very first person I ever told about my abuse. Not even my best friend who I've had since I was 6 years old. I felt like I could confide in him and that I could place my burden onto someone else and they could help me carry it. And this is so stupid. I feel so dumb. He dumped me because he was leaving for high school. And that tore away at the little self-confidence that I had. Honestly, I feel so much regret towards the way that I behaved in reaction to that, because I put all this pressure and blame on him when it wasn't him at all. It was just my own problems that I projected outwards and blamed onto him. I remember crying every single day. I would sleep at terrible hours of the night. Like literally I would sleep at like 6 a.m. and wake up at like noon or something. And it was very unhealthy, and I spent the summer that way. I spent most of the school year, the 8th grade school year, that way. Yeah, it wasn't a good time. So I'm depressed and I feel like no one's ever gonna want me, or no one will ever understand me or accept me like he failed to. That's not on him, but I felt that way. And that was the very first time that I harmed myself. My cousin saw, and he was the very first one to see it. And I didn't explain to him everything that was going on because I wasn't ready. And so I didn't tell him. I just told him that I didn't want to be around anymore. And he talked me off of that ledge, and so I was okay for a little bit. And so then, you know, things get better and I move on, and I actually meet a wonderful guy who's still in my life as family. And I would say he's my first real relationship. Yeah, so that was going great. And then it was my 2nd year going to summer camp. It was during a seminar that I finally confessed. Okay, yeah. So, basically, the counselor who was in charge of that seminar, asked us all about a time we felt helpless. And so she begins to tell us about a time that she felt helpless. And so she starts talking about an experience where her sister had come home after being raped. And call it PTSD, I don't know what it was, my anxiety. I just start bawling. I burst into tears and I start hyperventilating, and I'm having a breakdown in front of this entire group of people, and my secret comes out. And because that camp counselor was a mandatory reporter, there was no way that this wasn't going to go back to my family. Like, it was out, and it was out for real, and it was going to involve the cops and everything. And this was like my first year of high school, and I was just so scared to, like, can you imagine the anxiety of like entering high school and then to have this on your plate? I was mortified, and I never wanted this to get out, and I was terrified of the way that my family would react. I was genuinely afraid of what they would say, what they would think. So the camp put me on suicide watch while we waited for the camp director, or the program director, to come and pick me up and take me home. And it was like midnight when she came by, and we drove from Olympia back to my home in Tacoma, and I was terrified the entire way. And when I got home, I remember standing on that porch so scared and so ashamed and so embarrassed. And I remember them opening the door when we doorbelled, and just seeing this fear, this hurt in my family's eyes. And I walk in to my parents' bedroom, and my sister's sitting on the bed, and she said, "I know who it was.